Sektion 7 Chargierung. Section 7 Loading. It is essential that this part of the drill should be treated carefully, as its sole essential purpose is the annihilation of the enemy. The soldat must never hurry while loading and firing, as it is detrimental to the effectiveness of the shot. When training an individual recruit, the handlings for firing and loading must be carefully dissected using the practice cartridges, and all the aids to be used must be clearly explained to them. To do this, one aid is to divide loading by counts into the various individual movements. Loading the Gewehr from the position of Gewehr auf, without breaking into single movements. The command: Bataillon so chargieren. Geladen. Bataillon so chargieren. Geladen. Execution. From the position of Gewehr auf, with the right hand, bring the Gewehr near to the body in an upright position and haft turned in front of the center of the body. With the left hand, grasp it between the middle and lower bands and smartly move it down to the left side while turning it completely so that the muzzle faces outward. Then press it tightly to the flank. Without delay, draw back the right hand and open the lid to the cartridge box. Grab a cartridge so that the ball sits on the little finger, grasping the top part between thumb and forefinger. Now bring the cartridge to the mouth, bite carefully, and with the right elbow lifted, bring the torn cartridge to the muzzle, pour in the powder, and push the ball into the muzzle without creasing the paper. Then, grabbing the rammer between thumb and forefinger of the right hand, remove the rammer by extending the right arm, then grabbing the rammer in the middle with a closed fist, removing it entirely, and pushing the cartridge to the back of the barrel and seating the ball with one more forceful push. When this has happened, then spring the rammer from the barrel, grasp it in the middle without striking, and through one motion, then return it into position. Now, with the left hand, bring the Gewehr to the right hip, letting it pass through all the way to the lower band, while the right hand raises the hammer and then immediately comes to support it. Make halbrechts, or right oblique. To do this, draw the right foot back to where the trouser seam meets the left heel. Grasp the Gewehr with the left hand, thumb extended to the lower band, and hold the muzzle even with the top of the head, the base of the thumb of the right hand resting to the front under the right hip. With the right hand, lift the hammer from the cone and place it at the half-cocked position. Then, place the thumb in the crook of the hammer and rest the four other fingers on the trigger guard. After moving the hammer, avoiding overdrawing, move the right hand to the cap pouch. Grab a cap with thumb and forefinger, seat it firmly on the cone, then grasp the small of the stock with a closed fist. With the left hand, lift the Gewehr and lean it against the right shoulder while grasping it under the hammer and trigger guard with the right hand. Then, with a halb links, a left oblique, reassume front and return the right foot. As soon as the Gewehr is in the correct position, drop the left hand quickly down. Broken down into individual movements. When using loading and times as a method of instruction, the command Bataillon so chargieren is given, quickly followed by the command Halt. The Gewehr is brought to the position for loading as described above. However, after grasping the cartridge, the right hand remains in the cartridge box. On the further command, Eins, Eins, bring the cartridge to the mouth, bite it, and bring it to the muzzle. On Zwei, Zwei, empty the cartridge, place the ball, and grasp the rammer. On Stock, Stock, remove the rammer. On Lauf, Lauf, push the cartridge to the back of the barrel and once more with the rammer to seat the ball, then quickly remove it. On Ort. Ort. Bring the rammer back into position. An 3. 3. Bring the Gewehr back to the right hip, set the hammer in the half-cocked position, and move the right hand to the cap pouch. An 4. 4. Grab a cap, and with the head lowered, seat the cap on the cone. An 5. 5. Remove the thumb from the cap, grasp the small of the stock, and raise the head back up. An Schulter. Schulter. Bring the Gewehr to the right side. This manner of loading, as already indicated in Section 6, is not to be used as instruction or examination for companies in closed Abteilung, as it is intended only for foundational instruction of individuals or groups. 7b. Das Schießen. Firing. There are 4 commands. Execution. Each command will be read twice. Number 1. Fertig. Fertig. With the right hand, raise the Gewehr so that the lock comes to the height of the hip and allow the muzzle to sink in front. Grab the Gewehr with the left hand at the lower band, the thumb extended along the shaft and holding the muzzle at the same height as the top of his head. While doing this, cock the hammer with the thumb of the right hand by moving it from below. At this point, make a right oblique, drawing the right foot back so that the seam of the trousers touches the left heel. Number 2. An. An. Lift the Gewehr with both arms into the horizontal position, bringing the stock to the back of the right shoulder, extending the left arm to support the Gewehr. Set the right foot back about 1 foot and a little to the right while leaving the left in the previous position. Drawing in the left hip a little, rest the weight of the body on the left foot, with the stock resting firmly on the right shoulder and the right elbow turned somewhat outwards. Incline the head of the stock, close the left eye. With the right eye, line up the guide sight, front sight, and target, while resting the forefinger lightly on the trigger. Number 3. The command is to be given in a prolonged manner. Feuer! Feuer! Keep the hammer down and at rest until the trigger is pulled. The soldat is to remain aiming without changing his position. Number 4. Geladen! Geladen! Without changing the position of the hammer, bring the Gewehr immediately out of the horizontal aiming position and to the left side with both hands, holding the Gewehr unchanged so that the stock rests on the left hip and the right arm forms a right angle. Re-establish front by making Halblinks, or left oblique, and moving the right foot back to its position. Release the small of the stock with the right hand, then grab a cartridge, while with the left hand dropping the Gewehr to the previously described position for loading. After loading again, bring the Gewehr to the right hip, while at the same time with the right hand setting the hammer at half cock, immediately brushing away the used cap from the cone, setting a new one on, and gripping the small of the stock, awaiting further command. 7c. Absitzen. Canceling. To cancel firing, the command is setzt ab. Setzt ab. Execution. On the first word of the command, take the forefinger from the trigger and grasp the Gewehr on the small of the stock with a closed fist. On the word ab, with both hands, bring the Gewehr to the right hip, just as before aiming, and bring the right foot back to the previous position. 7d. Einstellen des Schießens. Ceasing fire. Execution. To cease fire, there are two commands. Each command will be read twice. Number 1. Han in, who? Han in, who? Rest the Gewehr on the right hip. With the thumb of the right hand, grip the crook of the hammer, pulling the trigger with the forefinger. Gently let the hammer down, then pull it back, set at half cock, and grasp the small of the stock once again. Number 2. Schulter! Schulter! With the left hand, lift the Gewehr and rest it on the right shoulder, the right hand gripping it under the hammer and trigger guard. Then, with a halb links, or left oblique, re-establish front and return the right foot. As soon as the Gewehr is in the correct position, quickly remove the left hand. 7E. Loading the Gewehr and transitioning to firing from the position of Gewehrüber. While at the position of Gewehrüber, one can transition to loading and firing without having to be at the position of Gewehr auf. After the command Han in Wu, one can go directly back to the position of Gewehrüber instead of to the position of Gewehr auf. On the command Bataillon so chargieren, geladen. With the left hand, move the Gewehr to the left thigh, grip the small of the stock with the right, and, while the Gewehr is being brought to that side, grasp it between the middle and lower bands with the left hand and bring it to the position for loading. Follow the directions for loading according to section 7A. Move the Gewehr into a vertical position with both hands, lifting it with the right and allowing it to rest against the left shoulder. Grasp the stock with the left hand and place the Gewehr in the correct position, then return the right hand. On the command Fertig, gently move the stock with the left hand to the right flank while gripping the small of the stock with the right hand and bringing the Gewehr to the right hip, turning it smartly and into the position of Fertig previously described in section 7B. After the command Han in Ruhe, the command is not Schulter, but rather Das Gewehr über. Place the Gewehr in a vertical position with both hands, lifting it with the right hand and allowing it to rest against the left shoulder. Then, with the left hand, grip the stock and place it in the correct position, return the right hand to its position, and re-establish front. When drilling and loading, remember that it is detrimental to the Gewehr to allow the hammer to strike the cone if no cap or other protection is on it. Therefore, when performing the loading drill without cartridges, avoid drawing the hammer entirely for any reason,